It was just
Well,
retarded. I think it
so
was
we could
pretty
segue
rough.
into a topic with this. Is what is the worst game that you ever bought, like that you regret?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So Ian's topic:
It was
Yeah,
13, by the way.
worst
What
game
is
yeah.
worst game? Okay.
Well, like I mean, if
that
you
we
think about
bought. Just worst game that we ever played, or worst game that we bought.
worst game that you regret buying.
Yeah. I see.
Okay.
I'm having trouble. Like when I was a kid, I had a friend who was like 3 or 4 years older than me, and he was like super into video games and video game reviews and all this stuff. So I always had this like bug in my ear about what to buy and what not to buy. And
Uh,
because of that, I rarely found myself in a situation, and I'm not trying to like gloat here, but I really did like rarely find myself in a situation where I had actually purchased a bad game. And even then, like I had Blockbuster and stuff. So games that I was even on the fence about, I would rent first before I
right.
would go and buy. So Perfect Dark was an
Mm.
example of a game that I bought that I really regret, but like they're few and far between when it comes to that. And so
there
let me
was a
think about
game.
this for a minute, but I'm sure there's got to be some, but I just don't.
Yeah. Well, I know one recently that I got a few months ago was Evolve. Have you guys heard of that one
Yeah.
yet? It's pretty much
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It was a good game, like a good concept, but
Had a
like
lot of
literally,
hype.
yeah, and it had a huge hype. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then like after 3 games, I'm like, this sucks. Why did I buy
Yeah.
this? Why did I spend my money on this?
I
Yeah.
was really
So,
hyped for that game too. Yeah.
did you play it?
I played it. It had a free week on
Uh-huh.
Steam. I tried it out, and at first it could barely run on my computer, and second, like the gameplay was just okay.
Yeah, it wasn't anything spectacular. So that was one. No, and I keep trying to remember this game, and maybe you guys can help me with this. It was I don't know if you guys had I think it was PlayStation 2. It was a vampire
Bless you.
game.
Thank you.
It was a vampire game. It's like something nine, and it was a great game. But literally, it was like 2 hours long, and you were done. The game was over. It's like, what the fuck? Did I really just spend my money on like a 2 hour game? And it had great graphics back then, but the game was super short.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just gotta think of the name. So, what are some games that you guys got that you really regret?
So I did. It was really like not a lot of money because at the time, like they're old. But the two games that I bought, I think, were um, Borderlands
I
and
was gonna say Borderlands. Yeah.
Dishonored. Borderlands
Sonic
was
Really?
yeah. So okay, so Borderlands was really it was not fun for me because I didn't play with friends. It's
Yeah.
pretty grueling after going through WoW so many times, like
Right.
any MMO progression, and then playing by yourself in Borderlands. I was like, dude, I have played this game. Yeah, okay, it's a first-person shooter, but I have played this so much, and
Yeah.
it's really made to be played with friends. And I didn't have anybody playing with me at the time, and I've
Aw,
tried picking
no
this game up
friends.
And you
just
don't
so
have
many
friends.
times, and I dropped it. And then Dishonored, I don't get this game's hype. I've played this game and like
Oh.
I just don't. I don't think it's that good of a stealth game. I don't think
No.
that the level design is that interesting. I don't think the progression design is that interesting to me. There's some choices that you ultimately have to make, and then anything else that like pertains to agency in terms of like what powers I want to pick are irrelevant in my opinion. There's like two that you absolutely need, and then everything else is just like fodder. It doesn't matter. And I don't care about the story. I don't really care about the world. It's this generic steampunk thing. Like I just didn't. I could not get into it.
I
It felt like they were trying to make a what is it? A
Thief?
BioShock like game, and it honestly felt like a poor man's BioShock. That's terrible to say because I'm sure they worked really hard on it, but I could not get into it personally.
I played Dishonored. I thought it was okay. It was entertaining, but it had so much hype. I was like, man, this is gonna be great. I thought it was gonna be like a next gen Thief,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. I thought it was a. You said Bioshock. I thought it was like a poor man's Thief. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, what did you think about the new Thief game?
I played
I
that
haven't played
recently.
it. I didn't play it.
Boring. I just couldn't like.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't.
because both of those, I think Dishonored and the new Thief are like the Bioshock derivative style games, whereas the
Yes.
original Thieves are like hardcore stealth games.
Right.
Oh yeah, insane.
Like you can't get away with just like fighting guards whenever you want, which is
You die.
because I had Dishonored also, and like I tried to play it like a stealth game,
You
but
can't.
it was way more fun to play it as like a game where you like just killed all the guards around you because they made it so easy and like accessible to kill everybody with no consequence.
So let's talk about that for a second, because it markets itself as a stealth game, but in reality, when you get
can play
caught,
it. You can play it as a stealth game,
but it's so like against the to play. It's like might as well be like fucking very difficult mode, because as soon as you're
the
found,
shitty part, is you don't get to use half the skills that you can unlock in the game because they're not useful for stealth; they're for combat.
Right. So that's a problem. Then there's the fact that once you get found, you can't go back. You can't re-stealth.
Right.
You just can't. And then the third thing is that like there's a horrible morale mechanic that you get a better ending or something. And it's easier to play if you don't kill people. But if you kill people, which is the easier thing to do, you get more rats around and it gets really harder and you don't get to get it. Like, so many systems are fighting each other in that game that it just, like, it irritated me. And some of the level design, like, it was just like, you have to, like, climb up and then you're, like, facing the wall and you, like, turn around. Like, I didn't know where I was half the time. And you can't really stealth. Like, don't call it a stealth game. Don't put a stealth. It felt like they just kind of tacked on the stealth mechanic afterwards instead of building the game around stealth first. So yeah, it was really frustrating to play.
It was way more fun to play as combat, as far as I could tell.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell are you eating, Steven?
Oreos.
Yeah. So Dishonored
Frosted
was one.
Flakes.
Borderlands.
Bare
You know, I
naked.
think I bought Mass Effect, and I'm pretty sure I bought that game, and I was really disappointed in it.
Yeah, Mass Effect I wasn't a big fan of. And
Pretty
then
sure,
I just wish I could remember that game from PlayStation 2. Like, it's starting to aggravate me. I can't think it was 2 or 3. I think it was something 9, and it was like you're a vampire and you're fighting stuff, and it was like a hack and slash. But you know, when I sat there and I remember sitting there. I'm like, oh, I'm fighting a boss.
Devil May
like,
Cry.
Devil May Cry, yes, that's what it was. And I sat there and I was sitting there fighting a boss, and then boom, like the credits started going. I was like, seriously, like. I wanted to just throw the game. I just wanted to throw it out the window. Like, this is fucking bullshit.
I had a game that I didn't like at first, but then I played it in a different way, and I loved it afterwards. And I don't know if you guys ever played it, but Infamous.
Yep. Oh yeah, Infamous. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I played as the hero at first, and I was like, this sucks. And then I just went completely dark side, and it was fucking awesome. I loved that game
abilities
afterwards.
looked way more cool. Yeah, Pete had that game.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't like the whole like hero aspect of it, and then I completely changed, and it was so much more fun.
Yeah.
So.
Mine is Dragon Age 2.
Oh, really? Yeah, that was.
Yes, the second one.
I was so excited about that game too.
Because I loved the first one. Like,
yes,
first one is in one of my top 10 games of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
and
like
the
Dragon
second
Age
one.
Inquisitor?
Which one? Sorry.
Inquisitor? Is that the most recent one, right? Dragon
Inquisition is the newest one. Yeah.
That's 3.
Yeah.
Dragon Age.
I like the new one, even though I haven't played it. I like it's a different story, but
I have
the
it.
second one is literally. I mean, it's barely even in the same universe as the original. The gameplay is completely different. It's more like an action RPG than like a tactical like party RPG like Baldur's Gate or Neverwinter Nights or anything.
And it was so linear.
And it was super linear, and also they reuse like the same like 4 sets the entire game. Like it's you're in this shitty looking like brown gray city. You go under dungeons, and then the dungeons are like just rehashed with new monsters every single time you go into one, and then you come back into the same gray city, and then that's the only area you fight like play the entire game in. There's nothing different about it.
Yeah, it aggravated me too. I didn't even think about that. I remember that.
Yeah, it was just like the gameplay was just not at all. I just expected more of the first game, and they just tried to completely change it to make it more accessible. I think also to make it easier for console gamers, because on the console, I remember Jason had a really hard time playing the first one, and he played it for Xbox 360 or something. And then this one was definitely like, even on computer, I just pushed like, mouse button 1 and you attack, and it does like a combo and like you kill something, and that was it. So I was really disappointed with that game.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm glad Dragon Age Inquisition is basically just like the first one, but bigger.
Yeah, that was a good game.
Honestly, I didn't like it that much because I thought it was a little slow.
Like
the characters seem so freaking slow, and it's like, bruh.
Get a horse.
Play Witcher 3.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. Like I guess I got used to like just WoW, like in that kind of aspect where like you're hitting a little faster and you're.
Well, yeah, it's essentially just using like a D&D system. Like it rolls, internally if you're going to hit or not. So it can't really be, even if it was faster, it wouldn't do much in terms of like.
Well, I heard if you play it a little bit more, you basically hit faster because you put
get-
more in its abilities. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you get speed. Yeah.
My problem with that one was the very first. I was still in like basically like the first main zone or whatever of the game. Is they had a jillion side quests that you could do in it,
Yeah.
and I just
Yeah.
started. I like have a completionist like desire, so I just started doing all those, and I just burnt out after playing for a week. And I only did like that first area, and I haven't even cleared everything.
Wow.
That's exactly what I did, man. Like, because I have to finish everything.
Yeah,
That's
I was
why
like,
Assassin's Creed's always like take me forever because I
that's
I
what-
do all this.
I've heard people say you don't need to do it all that stuff. Like it's really
No.
not necessary at
Yeah,
all. To
but
do it
I
all.
do it.
But I
though,
wanted to.
anyways.
Yeah, I was just like, well, I'm gonna miss
And I
out on
just got
XP.
burned out.
Like,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got burned out.
So yeah, I want to pick it up again because I heard it's like pretty decent.
Yeah, I have it right here. I just haven't played it.
Another game that I regret buying was the latest Final Fantasy that came out. They're like going, I don't know. It's like you're these three girl characters, and it was a terrible gameplay. I played it for 2 hours.
Final Fantasy X2.
I think that's what it is. I'm not sure, but it was just
multi-cast.
terrible. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It was the one before that. And I forgot the name of it. I want to say. But so when you're playing it, you're these three characters, these three girls, and it sucked. And actually, I have been a long time Final Fantasy fan, and I actually don't plan on ever buying another one at this point.
Wow.
The next one doesn't look that good, honestly.
Yeah, they're failing. I mean, like in Square Enix, I always thought they did great, on games and everything, but I'm starting to become less and less of a fan. But granted, maybe I'm not the audience they're going for. Maybe they're going for more of that younger girl audience, because that's what I think that they're trying to reach for. That's what the kind of gameplay it just felt like they were reaching for. So
Was there a lot of Channing Tatum's skating on visible skates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, oh man, I think another one was Halo 3. I bought
Really?
that game and I felt pretty like meh.
I
about
regret no Halo purchases.
it. Says the guy with the PS4 console.
Well, okay. Fair enough. What was the last Halo for Xbox 360?
Reach?
No, there's one after Reach, I think. 5? Halo 5?
That was for Xbox One. No.
Really?
Maybe you're right. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, Halo 5 I never finished.
Yeah.
I just got so frustrated by towards the end of that game. I was just like, wow, this is just a grind to get to like the next story point, and I hate it. And I never played it again.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, FIFA, the newest FIFA, not the newest FIFA, but last year's FIFA I bought, and I've played it maybe a total of like 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's $60 game right there. Think of it.
Down the drain.
There's a lot of there's a lot of games
That's
that we
really
end up
bad, actually.
thinking, whether it's through an awesome trailer or whether it's through like just some word of mouth of some people, or just past experiences. You've played FIFA in the past and you're like, this is my game, I'm gonna pick it up, and it doesn't work.
Yep.
Halo, same thing. But
You paid $15 an hour for that.
For what?
World of Warcraft?
No, for FIFA.
What? No,
60
yeah.
bucks for 4 hours.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably more than that up here. It's probably like $69, $70 here.
Oh shit.
Hey.
Huh?
Huh?
Hey? Yeah.
Hey.
What are you talking about?
It was
Well,
just retarded.
so
I think it was.
we could segue into a topic with this. Is what is the worst game that you ever bought, like that you regret?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So Ian's topic.
It was 13, by the way.
Worst.
What
game
is
Yeah.
worst game? Okay.
Well, like I mean,
that we
think about
bought? Just worst game that we ever played, or worst game that we bought?
worst game that you regret buying.
Yeah. I see.
Okay.
I'm having trouble. Like, When I was a kid, I had a friend who was like 3 or 4 years older than me, and he was like super into video games and video game reviews and all this stuff. So I always had this like bug in my ear about what to buy and what not to buy, and
Uh,
because of that, I rarely found myself.
there
Let me
was a
think
game.
about this for a minute, but I'm sure there's got to be some, but I just don't.
Yeah. Well, I know one recently that I got a few months ago was Evolve. Have you guys heard of that one
Yeah,
yet? It's pretty much created.
Oh,
Yeah. It
yeah.
it was a good game, like a good concept, but
had a
like
lot of hype.
literally, yeah, and it had a huge hype. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then like after 3 games, I'm like, this sucks. Why did I buy
Yeah.
this? Why did I spend my money on this?
I
Yeah.
was really
So,
hyped for that game too. Yeah.
did you play it?
I played it. It had a free week on
Uh-huh.
Steam. I tried it out, and at first it could barely run on my computer, and second, like the gameplay was just okay.
Yeah, it wasn't anything spectacular. So that was one. No, and I keep trying to remember this game, and maybe you guys can help me with this. It was
Myself in a situation, and I'm not trying to like gloat here, but I really did like rarely find myself in a situation where I had actually purchased a bad game, and even then, like I had Blockbuster and stuff. So games that I was even on the fence about, I would rent first before I
right.
would go and buy. So Perfect Dark was an
Mm.
example of a game that I bought that I really regret, but like they're few and far between when it comes to that. And